Hello guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to have a look at a belt which I used back in the day for hiking, and I used it when I was in the Boy Scouts back in the late 1970s. This particular item is basically Army surplus, and it is the oldest military items I have in my collection. And by that I don't mean the age of the items themselves, but what I mean is the length of time that I've owned these items. So I was a Boy Scout back in, I think I went into Boy Scouts in 1977, and we did a lot of hiking at the time as Boy Scouts. So I needed a canteen, a water bottle. My father was in the Army at the time, and a lot of us Scouts, with our fathers being in the Army, ended up with Army surplus, just a canteen and a belt and what have you. And this is what my father gave me. If you ignore the knife has nothing to do with the belt originally. I put that on in the early 1990s. So I can't be bothered taking the knife off at the moment. So I'm just going to concentrate on the actual belt. So we've got an LC1 equipment belt and a M56 pattern first aid pouch, canteen, and ammunition pouch. And this is what I used, as I say, in my scouting days. And then I ended up using the belt when I was a prepper, and when I did hiking. I did a lot of hill walking, hiking and that kind of thing. And I've used it up until the early 1990s in that configuration. I haven't used the item now for over 30 years. It is a nostalgic item in my collection. And I thought we'll just have a closer look at these individual items. So what I'll do is I'll take the camera closer and we'll have a look at the individual items on the belt. So I've just taken the camera a little bit closer, and we can have a closer look at the individual items on the belt. So this is a prepper belt, hiking belt, whatever you want to call it. It's basically Army surplus. And as I said, my father gave it to me. I joined the Boy Scouts in early of 1977, so it must have been around that time that I received the items, the belt. So the actual belt itself is a M1972 belt. It was later incorporated into the Alice setup. It's also known as the LC1 belt. It's basically a OG 106 nylon belt. It's called the belt individual equipment LC1. And as I say, it's just made out of nylon, has the old buckle on it. The buckle was changed, I think, in about 1982 to a quick release one. This particular belt is dated 1974. And then moving on to that, we've got a first aid cover. Basically, it was called the Case First Aid Pocket. And it's the second pattern case here. It came out in 1956, as the name M56 shows, but this is the so-called second pattern. It has a brass eyelet on the bottom to let any water drain out. It also has the reinforced edges. You can see here the early ones didn't have that reinforced edging to the pouch. I still have the original contents of the pouch, which I didn't carry with me when I was using the pouch originally, but I still have the Band-Aid. Basically, it's a dressing first aid field individual troop camouflage, 4 by 7 inches. So that's what would have been in here. And also a little sachet of sodium chloride and sodium bicarbonate. And you would have put that into a water bottle, canteen to drink. It's basically electrolytes for burn victims. What I did have in the belt, which I don't have anymore, is my compass. I still have my original compass I had in my Boy Scout days. It's just a simple little compass, and I would have had that in here, along with some matches. Moving on, we've got the actual canteen itself. So that's the water bottle here. Again, it's part of the M46, no it isn't, M56 webbing. All these patches were made out of a cotton webbing, so they're all cotton, and later on they were produced in nylon. But so here we've got the second pattern, I suppose you could call it, water bottle pouch, because it has the nylon edging to it. The original ones had cotton edging. It has the brass snaps, And it's basically a copy of the earlier M1910 water bottles, but they got a different fitting to the back. And this thing here was called the Cover Water Canteen. And this is the, I think 1967 onward produced covers. As I say, it has the nylon edging to it. So from the early ones were cotton, and in 1967 they were changed to that nylon material here. Inside the water bottle cover, we've got a 1 quart plastic canteen. Mine is dated 1974 on the bottom. I haven't used this thing in more than 30 years. There's a little attachment on the top here that would have been used for drinking if you're wearing a gas mask. It has a 1 quart capacity in it, and these plastic water bottles were introduced in 1962. Inside, I've just got a spoon here. I've also got the metal cup. The cup is undated, but it's the earlier cups that they were using. It's marked US on the bottom here, and it's basically a just metal cup. You can drink out of it, you could cook out of it. So that's that. The inside has a artificial fur, which kept the contents cool in the summertime. What you could have done is you could have put water, you could have dampened the fur on the inside, and that would have evaporated, and that would have kept the water cool. And likewise in the wintertime it would have kept the water from freezing. Having said that, I've never put water in here to keep it cool. I just use it as it is. So then moving on, we've got the ammunition pouch. This is the, again, it's a M56 ammunition pouch. This is the first version. I think I had about 3 versions of this particular pouch here. It was introduced originally for the M14 rifle, so it would have originally carried 2 M14 20-round magazines on the inside. When the M16 was introduced, it could carry 4 20-round magazines, but the magazines were shorter than the actual pouch, so a lot of soldiers would have had to pad the bottom to make the magazine stick up. The magazines would have been edgewise inside the pouch. In 1967, they reduced the size of these pouches, made them slightly shorter for the M16 magazines, but this is the original pattern here. And these were used up until the 1980s, believe it or not. They were still on issue and being used by rear soldiers and things like that, well into the late 70s, early 1980s. Anyhow, this is the earlier version. It has the little brass eyelet on the strap here, and that was removed in 1962 onwards, so it's pre-62 pouch. Has an eyelet on the bottom here, and these 2 straps here on the side would have kept a fragmentation grenade secure. As I said, it would have been originally designed for 2 M14 magazines, or you could stick 4 M16 magazines in it. I had a foil blanket in there, and also a couple of glow sticks when I was hiking back in my scouting days. You could also stick a first aid kit in here, whatever. It was quite a useful kit here. Put your matches in there and everything else. As I say, the knife was put on many years later. It had nothing to do with it originally. And then again, the LC1 belt here, and turning it around, oops, just banging everything, you can see the fittings on the back here. They were fitted with these sliders, as opposed to the M1910 hooks that they were using before that. And I've just tied that one here. That one had a habit of coming loose, and to stop it falling off, I just tied it with cord. And that's the label here for the LC1 belt. You can't see it because of the fittings, but it is dated 1974. So, anyhow, that's my old Boy Scout belt and subsequently Prepper belt that I used back in the day. So it's quite a nostalgic item for me because my father gave it to me. I'm not sure whether it actually belonged to him or whether he just picked it up somewhere at work. But it had a lot of mileage to it. I've used it on quite a lot of hikes, and it's quite a nice item. So anyhow, I guess I'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoy that video, a little review on my old belt. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.